So I just watched this video with this Mr. Clark and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which actually I really enjoyed it. It's quite a long video, but it was really good. I mean, it's actually great to see RFK Jr. spending this much time with all these people, kind of a little bit like what Marianne Williamson were doing, which I don't see Trump and Biden do that. Maybe they do. Maybe Trump and Biden do these type of videos, but I haven't seen any. They only seem to stand in front of podiums and do CNN. And I mean, you could say RFK Jr. might be doing it, just because it's the election run or whatever, but I don't get that kind of feeling from it. I just kind of get the feeling like that's kind of like what he's like and who he is. So it's good. It's all good. I mean, there's a lot to take in from this video about technical procedures in improving farming practices and using knowledge to improve it. There's quite a bit to sort of go through in this video, but I thought I'd say something anyway from my view and opinion. Firstly, I mean, America is really different to England. It's like a lot more space and a lot more different variation in terrain. And also, it does calculate that America hasn't got as many people occupying it as a landmass, so they've got a lot more free land. So the first thing that I want to say is that Bill Gates definitely has got his own kind of big ideas for how the future of the entire planet should be, and I think we need to open with that. I think that needs to be the first thing we talk about when it comes to farming, because this is quite serious. I mean, Gates is buying up farmland, and, he's got this, percentage of farmland that he already owns, which is quite large, and he's wanting to buy more. He's got his sights on India, which was mentioned in the programme when they were getting undercutting prices for, seeds and so forth. But Gates and his allegiance, Gates and his, network companies, staff, his kind of like regime, have got big plans for planet Earth. There's no doubt about that. Not even to go into the whole kind of like, what happened with the pandemic and all that. But so, and it's clearly evident that without having to go into the details, Gates has got this kind of like vision or idea for how he thinks planet Earth will be in the future, whether that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 or 200 or however many years. And remember that, technology is accelerating quicker and quicker. And I think that it's safe to say or obvious to guess that this kind of farming model that Gates envisions is kind of sort of like big machinery, possibly even, hovering machinery or hovercraft machinery, or it's giant machines that cultivate very, very large areas of land and probably go for as long as possible without any human intervention or even interaction. Possibly even could be dangerous. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that scene in Superman, when there's someone in the cornfield, and the combine harvester goes over, it's like, but on a bigger scale than that, like it's possibly even, maybe even on the scale of, like in England. I mean, you got Area 51, haven't you, with all the aliens in Roswell or whatever. In England, we've got like, even near Stonehenge in Avebury and Wiltshire, which is tourism and history, ancient sites and so forth. You've got like military areas with tanks and, experimental, weapons, allowed in, I can just see it happening. If Gates went kind of like without any intervention in his actions, I can just, it's quite easy to make a guess that it's a safe bet to guess that he's going to go with this kind of like, his legacy is going to go with this sort of like, keep off and this kind of like maybe even cameras, surveillance, netting, maybe even other robots to patrol it, like, dogs or Optimus Prime. Elon Musk might even help him, with that, make the Optimus Prime. So, and while these machines are kind of like doing their own automated procedures, processes, very big machines likely, and all this. So we'll get into the video. All what Mr. Clark said through this video, right, about his science, learning procedures, improvements, technologies, assessments, and all these observations and so forth. All that likely also will be taken over by machines with the Gates model. Like, they'll be automatically going and taking samples, probably live, as it rains, as the sun's out, with a constant adaptations. I mean, they might even, this guy, Clark, Mr. Clark's talking about, taking samples of soils and assessing, nutrient levels and how that interacts with streams and waters and rivers and goes into the water system for us and all this and that. And Gates, likely, his dream is to have all that probably automatically automated by the machines, and ultimately without any human, as little human intervention as possible, right? Now, the thing with that is that it creates large areas of land which might be, beautiful or nice, which people aren't allowed to go near or in, right? Now, I know that the other areas of land, like, Niagara Falls, or in America, they've got swamps, lush forests, the beach, you name it, Florida, Canada, every A to Z of different and interesting places which aren't farmland, but are still, go hiking, go climbing, go walking, go cycling, go swimming, go canoeing, not to say that there won't be anywhere for humans to go, but if the population continues increasing, you only need enough food to feed the humans, right? So that's my concern. And also kind of this fact that, he owns it, it's his, or even if it's got some sort of government seal or stamp on it, or private corporation stamp on it, that is definitely where he seems to be going with that. But with that model, you've got this whole kind of like, with that model goes this kind of like Jeff Bezos model, this whole kind of Amazon factory, this whole kind of like, conveyor belt, sort of, and again, Gates likely, not Gates this time, Bezos likely would prefer the packing robot and machine model, to package the food, right? To put it into boxes, packets. I mean, even if, we'll give Bezos the benefit of the doubt, even if Bezos didn't go for this, like, kind of like, processed food, like kebab, gyro meat, kebab meat, and all these like processed meats and so forth and so forth. Well, he wants to grow meat himself, doesn't he? Even if he went for a more natural food, it still needs putting in boxes and so forth, right? Now, the problem with that is this. If you are going to have farmland and grow food, right, really, if it's going to be less processed and more natural, right, and if you're going to get it as fresh as possible, like as freshly as grown as possible with as little kind of like, processing or preparation or cooking as possible, then you really, straight from the farm, really, you kind of really just want to get it eaten, you want to get it in boxes and get it, get it put in and mixed around and shook around. You want to get it kind of like boxed and packaged, not that long after you've got it grown, and get people eating it. And you want these places near people anyway, so they don't have to travel far, because you might as well be growing it in your village or town or locally than, shipping it and sending it up and down and around haulage in lorries and stuff to get it to these supermarkets or drive-thrus or, Walmart or whatever on shelves, because you might as well just go somewhere near the farm. And that's why I like this kind of model that they have in Norfolk when you go out towards, Kings Lynn, Norwich, and they've got these kind of two big farm. It's like a really famous place in England. In fact, it's one of the places in England that is most American, because it's kind of like, it's associated with like Boston and Lincoln and kind of like Market Harborough and Peterborough, which is literally like our version of where this guy is, with all his farm, this American kind of like, when Superman Clark Kent grows up in this farming community. It's like that. It's like the equivalent of that part of England, which is quite flat. Although we have got Herefordshire, which is also growing, but that's like kind of like, hilly, like rolling hills and orchards and really lush fields and kind of like lots of tree orchards, which is like a novelty to see, really, if you're from somewhere that doesn't have it. But that's a different type of farming to flatland farming. So, but that place where I used to drive past, they've effectively got two farm shops, but they're really big ones for England anyway, and all the truckers would park up there, and you just, literally, you go in there and it's all fresh grown stuff. What it's kind of like is, this is the thing, right? So you've got the whole movie industry, Universal Studios, Warner Brothers, all these movie companies, right, who are making millions, billions out of movies, right? And they're making all these films. And even making films like, like The Terminator and so forth, when you've got these, like, truck stops and places on the road and that, right? But the thing is that, so the movie industry ended up, making all these, like, toys, plush toys, and, like, those, machines that you put money in and you got to, like, it's a game, you've got to get the toy out of it, like Mini-Me, Minions and all that. And they were ripping people off with them because they started, like, that's part of my investigation. They started kind of like scamming people, so it wasn't possible to win. But that movie industry, besides all the merch, the T-shirts, the plush toys, all the plastic toys, all the movie, the whole thing, the whole Disney thing, everything. Besides that, these film, like Universal Studios and so forth. So Universal Studios have kind of like really, well, the investors, their pals, their friends, their circles, they're kind of like the people that they associate with, possibly even Gates, we don't know, King Charles, we don't know, but, Epstein, who knows? But these people who make a hell of a lot of money out of movies, right, they started setting these cinemas up, didn't they, all around everywhere. It really, Back to the Future was the spark for that. Everyone wanted to go down to the car park like Doc Brown in the mall. That's where they got the brand new cinema and the drive-through McDonald's and the Burger King and the KFC, and then you hang out at the mall on the skateboard and the whole thing. It's so. But they did this thing where they've got all these hot dogs. So you go into the cinema, and then they ended up with the Ben and Jerry's to the side with the ice cream, and then you've got the Häagen-Dazs and all that, and then you've got the hot dogs with all the, chips on them or whatever, crisps or whatever you call them, and the sauce and that, and then you've got the pick and mix. Now, the pick and mix at the cinema at Universal Studios, right, at all the big cinemas, was a big thing. Like, you go there and you get these huge bags, right, and you'd like just stuff them with all these sweets, right? You'd fill it up. You get a big scooper thing, right, and you fill it up, and you just go pick out on the sweets watching the movie, or whether you've got a hot dog, or, whether it's got chilies on it, or whatever, or your Häagen-Dazs, one or the other. That's what they designed. So they're manufacturing a lifestyle, you know, and they actually had like themes for it where, you know, they get the, you know, I don't really want to, you know, start pointing my finger at people who are overweight, but, you know, they had like jokes, like, you know, in some of, you know, like you get like the fat kid went in there with the big long leather jacket on with the shades, you know, and he's like, does Arnie jokes, you know, he's like, you know, so they're acting out the movies basically. They're you know they're going to watch the movies and they're acting them out. I mean, I've seen people queuing up with all these, you know, light up wands to go into the Star Wars film. You know, queuing up for they camp out, you know, to see the movie. So they're wearing all the stuff, right, like these conventions and that. But so they're actually mimicking them. This is evidence that they mimic movies, that they copy movies, right? But they're also having the food lifestyle and they're mimicking the lifestyle. So this is like the evidence of the power of advertising, influence, culture to actually make it cool as well. But you probably even get like, you know, the stadium wouldn't be far away. You know, you'd have this football stadium, the baseball stadium, the you know, in America you've got athletics or whatever. You would get those people in there, or in the McDonald's or whatever, in the KFC drive-throughs, and you know, some of them are, you know, athletic, you know, they got heavy frame, but you know, some of them were less affected, less influenced, and they could get away with it, you know, when they're going football training or baseball training, and you know, it doesn't show as much, but eventually, you know, time catches up with people when they get older. So they got this whole thing going on, even for the athletic people, even for the fit people, even for the active people. They've got them all going around this, you know, kind of like, well, what they're doing is they're designing people's environment, you know, they're designing your reality, they're designing society by what they build. You know, you build it, they will come. And you can only go to what there is, you know, depending on how much money you've got. You know, you can only go and do what they've made, right? It's like on, this is the classic American dream, you know, like on Teen Wolf, you know, like on Karate Kid. They're selling it through those movies, you know. You go bowling or whatever, and you know, there's some girl that you're looking at, or, you know, or you might even go with your family, and, you know, like in Home Alone, and you've got all, you know, like comedy or whatever it is, they're selling it through the movies. Now, I think that model, right, what they did with the pick and mix, they got everyone doing it. So by putting it there and building it and making it, you've got it. Now, I'm going to just pause it a second now. So this is like, so going with that model that they did, and they got people to do it, and people liked doing it and enjoyed it, right? Now, the thing with that model is that, I'm just trying to find, all right, here we go. So what I've noticed when I go to, like, well, I don't go to Marks and Spencer's often now, but I should do, is that, so Marks and Spencer's is quite an expensive supermarket, right? I think things in there cost a lot more than they should cost, so it can be cheaper. But that's like the leading store that is kind of like putting a healthier option out there, and also trying to make it cool and trendy, right? Now, the less bad foods that are available and the more good foods that are available, then, you know, people can't buy bad foods as much. They've got to, you know, go after them. Now, you got to be careful now, because I'm saying this, and, you know, God knows, you know, what news programs or spyware or software's listening, right? And whatever idea you've got, if they don't like it, they're going to try to counter it. But what I would have done is, you know, firstly, I don't think that food has ever needed advertising. They banned smoking advertisements in England quite a while ago now, and no one even really thinks about it anymore, right? The thing is, when you're hungry and you need to eat. And if the thing is, they've allowed planning permission, and they've, like, someone's had money, because, you know, if someone isn't making money, they can't walk into the council and put plans on the table, right? So certain people were making a lot of money, and they were getting plans put through, and they just started building, and they started implanting or installing these just stuff everywhere, shops everywhere, drive-throughs. So, but there's so many of them now that you can't get from A to B without going past, dozens of eating shops. You don't even have to go to town anymore. In fact, all of the like the mall you've got like a shopping centre or whatever that centres around the thing. You used to go into the town or the city. RFK said that, in Los Angeles, it's all shut down and boarded up. The thing is, what they've done is they've made every orbital little every kind of like place that orbits a major town or city, right? All the orbital kind of like places, they've just kind of like turned into little bit smaller versions of what was in the main town in the middle. So you just end up with, like, it's almost like the main town in the middle town's kind of multiplied itself into loads of orbiting ones, and now it's just as bad or just as busy all around. And that really is what happened to London, where is the centre of London? Does it have a centre? You might go to this specific place or this specific, shop or store. London, well, whereabouts in London? It's such an extensive mass, that it's just, that there are all kinds of things across the whole. It's just like a mass of trade and consumerism. I'm not necessarily saying that there should or shouldn't be that, but, there's no, and this is why you get these pollution problems in London. Now they're complaining about the air quality, the noise, the, smog, and all the rest of it, right? 'Cause it's just kind of like, urban sprawl. But, and a lot of that is, taking foods there that go in packaging that just gets thrown away or recycled. And you got a lot of unnecessary production and running costs and just energy use, really, as well. Power, electricity, energy. So, kind of going back to this farming model and idea, this is my opinion, right? I think that kind of like, for me, I discovered these, and I don't even get them that often because I don't go to that shop that often, but if I did, I would get these, right? And the thing is, what they've started doing, they must be doing it in America, but it hasn't kind of like taken off over here. In fact, I wouldn't even say that at the current time, from what I've seen, I don't think that it has quite taken off as much as what the whole, pick and mix did. Because pick and mix has been around a long time in a lot of small local shops, and then when it hit the cinema, it went on an epic explosion, right? The thing is, these packets that they do now, they've got all kinds of things mixed in here. You do get a little sauce with it, but you've got like a few different types of leaves. You've got little grains. You've got nuts. You've got these edamame beans that they call, which I really like them, although they're quite expensive. You've just got all kinds of a mixture of healthy things in there. Now, I don't actually think that they're even doing these yet as good as they could do or as good as they should do. I still don't think that they've quite got them right yet, and they definitely seem to be going heavy on these grains. But, you could argue what the perfect mixture is, for anyone. I mean, that's personal taste. But what I think this is like what I think would be, this is not like, this is how I think it should be, right? Not exactly how I think Gates wants it to be, right? Because I think that if you could get these things grown, right, and then at least sort of cleaned off and then just, separated, it's more of a kind of like, shake and loose job. It's maybe these grains need a bit of processing and so forth, but I don't think that they need that much processing. And, you don't really want, if you're not overproducing for any given area, you're not going to have that many left over. You're not going to have that much left over. I actually think that it would be, if it appears and is presented the right way, without forcing on everyone, without pushing it on anyone, without making too much of a big deal out of it, if it just appears and starts happening, right? I think that if you rock up at some kind of like farm place, farm fresh produce farm shop sort of thing, that if you've just got these things and you're going around with a big scooper, mix your own, no matter whether it doesn't really matter too much whether you're being served, and it's kind of like some sort of, not smoothie bar, but some sort of kind of like place you go and someone serves you and prepares it and you sit down and eat it, or whether you gather it yourself and take it home, either or. But I just think that it's got to be more interesting, to make your own mix, and scoop it in when you're there, and then weigh it out when you go out or whatever. Even if someone's filling it up with edamame beans, you're getting them to eat edamame beans, even if they fill it up with the most expensive. But, it's just, how can you not like that idea? The fact is, the more and more you eat these really like glowing green kind of foods, the more you like the taste of it, and you can tell that it's almost like, when you drink a glass of water that's just, right, there's something clean about it. You're eating something that is growing and living and it's doing you good, that whole thing. Whether or not it's a smoothie or a soup or whether, it's just you're eating it. And like when I was grating up the broccoli, it takes a lot, it's a pain to grate it, but once you get the broccoli grated, you don't need to cook it, and you get it mixed in with, some mozzarella and some nuts or whatever, and I was even crunching packets of crisps up, but it is quite crunchy, it's quite interesting. I know crisps aren't necessarily that good for you, but, I definitely think the big supermarkets are going the right way with this, but they're still going pedal to the metal with all their, greasy, pork choppy type stuff. Now, the only problem is, right, that we've got these people like these American truckers, right, who they'll protest and they'll say, we've got the right to eat donuts or drink beer or, pig out on Häagen-Dazs. Now, I don't think it's a good idea to ban those foods just like that, right? Or say you shouldn't be eating these foods, because even people who are against, the World Economic Forum and against kind of like Klaus Schwab, they think Klaus Schwab and all those people are trying to force us to eat healthy or what they think's healthy when they go into all these insects and all these stuff that Bill Gates is growing and precision breeding. I don't necessarily think that you don't need precision breeding. Charles is, lavishly kind of like, proud of this whole new precision breeding. You know where that's going, even when you pull a term out of your pocket, precision breeding, and start throwing that around, you're conning no one. You're tricking no one. When they say precision breeding, they're planning an intent to precision breed humans, right? Because they have been precision breeding us. They've been knowingly precision breeding us on chips, right? On chips and Häagen-Dazs and on, Universal Studio Food. They have been, and that's why the sperm count's dropped through the floor. And that's where we're in the situation we are. They were precision breeding us into dummies, into stupid people. And now they're all like, oh, no, we didn't realise, yeah, right. And now it's all, oh, no, precision breeding, they're all going to make everyone into super people, whether we like it or not. If truckers want to, there's no need for truckers to protest and block the roads just because they want, the donuts or ice creams or their Budweisers or whatever. Trudeau, he went about the whole thing the wrong way, you know. You don't just, you know, stop people from having things. Although, and this is where there's a connection to the media. There's a connection to like the media and the press and the magazines and newspapers, right? And that's why really even talking about it now, and then they hear it, and then they suddenly jump into action, and then they go against it, oppose, right? Which is what I would have done if I was running the country. What I would have done is, you know, I would have just the thing is, BlackRock Vanguard have literally bought and nearly own nearly all of the food companies, right? You know, all you need to do is, you know, these companies to just start disappearing or shut down, and then, you know, they're just not making it anymore. You know, no one notices. You know, they've always done this to government, you know, and the elite. They've always, you know, if suddenly, you know, really, if I was Bill Gates, I'd just buy all hot dog companies and then, you know, just close. And then, you know, someone probably, I don't know, there have been any hot dogs here for ages, you know, well, you know, they might not even notice. And then, you know, when there's more healthy food out, it just slowly disappears. You know, you'd have to make a big deal out of it, so we've banned meat or whatever. And then if someone, you know, it's not exactly the prohibition, is it? It's not like, you know, alcohol prohibition, you know, no one will drink alcohol. And you got people, you know, brewing up moonshine in the woods or whatever, you know, because they can't get hold of any alcohol. You know, if people want to make their own alcohol or whatever, beer making or whatever, if it just suddenly slowly started, you know, not being in the shops as much, and then, you know, just, you know, people ended up, I haven't seen any beer for a while, I might have to go and make my own, you know, so what? You know, I haven't noticed a massive increase in people, you know, growing their own tobacco at home since you know, you can't smoke inside here, and there's a lot less people smoking. They've started actually just, you know, having those electric cigarette things or whatever. You just want to, like, you know, unfortunately, these people are making that much money out of it. They can't afford to, you know, lose business or whatever. They just need to switch over to other foods. You just need to take over these companies and switch them over to healthier food. And really not let the press know about it, you know. The thing is, once the press know about it, then they go, you know, they're trying to, you know, get rid of all, you know, my hot dogs or my burgers, and then the American truckers are just like, you know, like, whatever. But, you know, well, you know, this is it, shoot your own buffalo, you know, through the side of the head, you know. You know, that's my humour, you know. If you know, there aren't any burgers in the shops, you know, you don't have to ban burgers, you know. Then, you know, if the Canadian trucker wants to take his daughter, you know, down into the woods, you know, and get the fucking commando knife out, you know, and get a goat, you know, and carve it up, then, you know, we'll see if she ends up crying or not, or we'll see if she ends up, you know, doing a school talk on, you know, carving up a goat, and then the teachers will, you know, then you can have Keir Starmer going, we're teaching kids in school these days, you know, we got parents coming in, you know, carving up a goat or whatever, you know, then we'll learn why there has to be a special sacrificial, sacrificial ceremony, you know, or else, you know, end up doing it properly or whatever, like halal meat or whatever. It's kind of funny. I don't think, you know, I don't think that all the little kids would end up, you know, I think they'd end up being a bit upset about it, you know, and being upset about little cute ducks and so forth and whatsoever. And you don't need it as much. And another thing, you know, when it comes to me, I am still eating meat, but I'm not that bothered about it. It is quite hard to give it up, but when I go through periods when I don't eat meat, I'm not that bothered. Some people are like, you know, they're gonna make a big deal out of it and have a tantrum and say, we want to keep our meat or whatever, whether or not, you know, it's grown by Bill Gates or not. But you know, some people are just boring. And, you know, this is a thing voting. This is, you know, everyone's voting Labour, then they're voting Tory, then they're voting Labour. It's almost like chips and pies, you know. We'll go have fish and chips on a Tuesday, and then we'll, you know, have a, you know, pie and pudding on Wednesday, you know, and then the oxtail soup, you know. Oh, come on, get a life. This is it. Oh, we're all voting Labour now. You know, the Tories are out. Whoa, you know, wow, he's having fish and chips. Yeah, he's having fish and chips this week. You know, ooh, big change, you know. And I'll be voting Tory next week and having a steak pie. Ooh, you know. None of this insect business, you know. Screw these insects, you know. You know, oh, come on, you know, get a life, you know. Let's get some of these, you know, nice, healthy edamame bean packs of grain and leaves down here, you know, with a bit of mint sauce on, you know. This is the thing. There are some long-established trades that aren't going to like it. But, you know, really, you see, this position is what some people are calling Klaus Schwab and the WEF, right? Verbs on his channel is saying, you know, I've got the right to, you know, I'm a free man and I want to farm and I want to grow fresh food, but I want to also have animals and, you know, eat meat and that. It is. The thing with Verbs is he's a sandwich shop of a picnic. He's like Bon Jovi. He's like halfway there. Oh, we're halfway there, living on a prayer. But it is like, you know, no, you know, some of them are, they don't really know where they are with it, you know. And in a way, I think they are on our side. But it's this whole kind of like forcing people to do things, you know. Like fish and chip shops have been going a very, very, very long time, but it's not the best thing to have, you know, all this, you know, deep fat, soaked, battered stuff, right? But no one's saying that, you know, I don't think that we should make a law and force all fish and chip shops to close down, but if they start liking other foods and enjoying them, and then notice other people were doing it, then, you know, it's kind of like, you know, if you can, this is the thing. How did the cinema get everyone into the cinema? You know, scooping up pick and mix, and, you know, stuff in the face with them while they're watching, you know, Arnie, you know, I'll be back with another, you know, pick and mix wading. You know, it's just simple. It's the media who make a mountain out of a molehill, really. You know, because, oh, you know, now we know your plan, now we know your plan, now we know your plan. This is a problem with the media, you know, fuck off, you know, with, you know, GB News and, you know, like, fuck off, you know. You know, media need to fuck off and get a life, you know. That's the problem with the media, you know, instead of stirring up social discourse, they want to fuck off, you know. Freedom of the press. This is why it's better, you know, not to let them know, but not in a sinister way like Klaus Schwab, you know, not going to like replace everyone's food with insects or whatever. I've always been interested in insects. I wouldn't have, you know, had them for my diet, but I don't think you need, you know, I don't think you need those insects. You know, snails are nice. I really like snails. They say that they're French, but clearly the Celtic peoples were eating, you know, animals like that. Even the spiral pattern of the snail is, you know, on the side of the Newgrange, you know, temples. They're actually really, really, really good sources of protein, you know, snails. And it's like when you go to the seaside. You see, this is the thing. People in England, people will go to the seaside. Even people who like fish and chips, people who like, you know, the fish and chips and the pie and, you know, like pie and gravy or whatever they want, right? If they go to the seaside, then they like going, you know, to these little kind of like, you know, mobile van thing packed up on the beach or wherever, and then they'll get the, you know, cockles and mussels, you know, and put a bit of vinegar on, and they'll happily have them. Right? That's free will and choice. It's there. It's like a tradition. It's there. You know, you build it, they will come. Having snails is very, very similar to that. And in fact, you know, rather than a slightly, seafoody, kind of oily, fishy direction, snails are very, very similar to eat, except they've got like a little bit more of an earthy taste, but not in a bad way. I like them. I think that we used to have them. I mean, even those eels, eels were meant to be one of the main thing, and if you think of salmon, surely eels have got to have decent oils in them and stuff, although I don't really think that surely there can't have been that much mercury if we used to have eels from the wetlands, and rivers and streams. There can't have been that much mercury in them. That's one thing. What was that soup that they found in Anglesey in that, was it like frog as well? Frog, eel, and so forth. There's not much meat on frogs, but, maybe it's not that nice eating frogs, but, they're smaller animals, I don't know why Gates wants to... The thing with... Going back to Gates again, and Musk, and Zuckerberg, which I'm going to bring Zuckerberg into this as well in a bit, is that Gates clearly, the guy is living in a delusion or a lie if he's not interested in... No, my main priority and interest is genetically making meat for food to grow. It's not built. You want to learn how humans grow so you can, mess around with human biology, like grow an arm or, grow a leg. Never mind a frog's leg. You want to grow a human head, don't you, Bill? You want to grow a fully functioning human head, growing out of a computer that can speak to you and respond. You want to work out how humans grow. You don't lie. Why are you pretending that, I just want to build meat so you can eat? You'd have to kill animals. You just grow a leg or an arm, in case you actually, lose your arm and you can I'll grow a new one for you and stitch on with surgery. Well, how about one that behaves? Like Larry Fink doesn't just want, to grow an arm. Larry Fink, is to control behaviors. We've got to control behaviors, Larry Fink wants to grow a controlled arm. There's a point in growing you an arm. For $20 billion, I'll grow you an arm as like a controlled arm, it doesn't hit anyone, an arm that salutes to Larry Fink, that's an arm worth $1 million man, the $1 million man, he's made, an arm and a leg, it salutes to Bill and Larry, oh, here comes Lord Larry, Zick, Heil, Larry, control behaviors, This is the arm that salutes when your master walks past. That's what you just go. Why are we having accidents? It would be interesting to actually know how many people actually. Well, actually, the mortality rate for limb loss surely is less now that we haven't got warring clans who are going to battle with battle axes and Roman soldiers coming over invading. In fact, it's Boris Johnson. It's Boris Johnson and Sunak who are sending us to war. They're sending us to war. They're the ones who are sending us to war. It's them. They are still sending us to war. There's more people losing limbs, So really, who is the prime customer going to be for Bill Gates' new, arm farm, growing meat, learn how meat grows, is all the soldiers that he's sending to war. Putin, in fact, instead of dropping, new ammunition from parachutes in helicopters, Bill Gates probably wants them to, helicopter him in a new arm. There's 3 soldiers down here, with legs that have been amputated. So I'll drop you in a new leg, It's Bill Gates. I've grown you a new, what size is it? It's a size 52. Oops, I've only got women's legs left now. You'll have to have a woman's leg. We ain't got any men's ones in stock, So I'll drop, Bill's flying in to his new war. Drop you a new leg in that's just grown. This is it. Maybe Elon Musk will live forever, and also if the Bluetooth army is under remote control, you won't need a mobile phone. you know, because you know the implant. I don't like the way they're going with all this, you know, because if there aren't any wars, right, you know, this is it. You start having a picnic with your family, you know, in the mountains, you know, go mountain climbing. This is it, you know. Why do you need to Bluetooth anyone? You know, this is the thing, you know. If you're with your friends and family, you know, and all the agriculture's been grown by, you know, Gates's machines, you know, and why do you need to Bluetooth someone in China, you know, or and this is where Zuckerberg comes in, you know, because he wants, you know, it's bad enough now with attention deficit disorder. All of the foods they've been giving us, which have been dropping the sperm count at the bottom of the floor, and which have been making people really dumb and stupid from all these pick and mix and Häagen-Dazs at the cinema, right? Watching the actors do the action hero, you know, stuff. You know, but Zuckerberg, now this is where the metaverse comes in. What Mark wants to do is, you know, you don't need to go into Bill Gates's farmland. You know, you don't need to go where the big machines or hovercrafts are, you know, or the lab robots going taking soil samples. You don't have no interest in that farmland. You don't need to go in there. Well, I was going to do a bit of volunteering, you know, a bit of exercise. And I was up in the mountains on Tuesday, and then I was on the beach on Wednesday, and then I was, you know, going skiing on Friday, and then, you know, now I'm going on whitewater rafting, and then, you know, today, actually, I might do a little bit of, you know, pick some seeds, you know, go to the food farm, pick a mix, you know, talk to some people, do some voluntary work. No, humans don't work. Humans don't do any work. Why would you want to volunteer for work? Well, I don't know. I'm just curious. I might try to look around the farm, you know, see how they're growing, you know. Oh, nothing to see here. You know, boring, you know, soil testing, or mowing the crops. You know, collecting the edamame beans. Nothing to see here. You know, this is you know, why? Why is there nothing to see there? Something you don't want me to see? You know, you might sabotage it. Ooh, but why would that be? Why would I want to sabotage all the farm machinery, Bill? You know, that's where we get our edamame beans from. You know, well, because. You know, maybe you're pissed off that, you know, all you have to do all day is, you know, go whitewater rafting or in the mountains. Be careful on that whitewater raft. It might be a bit dangerous, you know. Might crash into another raft going the other way. You know, get the speed cameras. Yeah, speed cameras. That's a good idea. When we were all going, was too many people whitewater rafting now. You got a speed camera at the side of the river. You know, here comes Robert F. Kennedy Jr., you know, in a whitewater raft. You know, oh, it's going too fast. This is, you know, slow down. Oh, it's the sheriff, you know. Oh, he's got 3 speeding points now going down the whitewater rafting, you know, too fast. The sheriff's after him now, just get speeding points. You know, this is it. Oh, be careful, it's dangerous. There's cliff climbing. There's climbing up the face of a cliff, you know. Like on Princess Bride, you know, the cliffs of despair. You know, you're going to do this in 3 minutes. No, that's too quick. Slow down. You know, speed cameras, you know, placed up the cliff, up the side of the cliff face. You know, you're climbing too fast. This is it. I don't think in Mark's world, you know, why would anyone want to, you know, be on the farm like Guns N' Roses, like down on the farm, you know? I needed some inspiration before I do somebody some harm. You know, I might be doing some Bill's machinery some harm. You know, it's just all right. You go to the Meta farm. Here you go. Put this new headset of Mark's on. Oh, look, it's the farm game. I pretend I'm pretending that I'm a farmer. You know, I pretend that look, now I'm, you know, picking seeds and, you know, doing crops. Would you believe that anyone would want to go into the metaverse and pretend they're a farmer? No one wants to do that boring pastime. No, actually, Mark, I'm quite interested in farming. I might going to go and see how Bill's machines are going. Can't we have a guided tour? You know, come near the safety barrier. You know, there's some big machines coming past. You know, vroom, vroom. You know, it's, this is the Gates Zuckerberg future. Nothing to see here. Go back into your metaverse. Or, God knows, or mixing it with some sort of Musk's out-of-body experience, which you can project to someone else around the world. I'd hate to be Zuckerberg's friends, if Zuckerberg is out with his friends, at Zuckerberg's birthday party, say he's got his friends around, you're talking to Mark. Well, Mark wants to be able to talk to you while he's, having his, birthday party, while at the same time he's having a business meeting, with someone in China about, how many metaverse headsets he can send and what modifications he can make to it, while at the same time, time is precious, just a minute, Mark's time's precious, while he's also having a meeting simultaneously with Elon, and Bill, and also he's also present virtually through the holographic power of Bluetooth in Iceland, in a hot tub, with his, his dead kid or whatever. There's not enough time in the day for all the things I can do at once. But oh no, now there's a Google ad popping up. Are you interested to buy, a Poppadom, Mark? No, I've got no interest in buying a Poppadom whatsoever. In fact, when I have to watch this crap, I'm going ad free. Well, we have to watch this crap though. Our time's precious as well. Our time's precious. Watch Neil Mohan's crap adverts. Do you want to buy a bottle of Budweiser? No, I don't drink. Well, why don't you tell me that? I could switch on your ad settings. No, Neil, because your ad settings suck. They're rubbish. They don't work. And then because I had to, because you blocked half my channels. Now I've got to go incognito. And now all my settings have been completely and totally erased. Did it exist? Because when I go incognito, it doesn't get my ad preference settings. I've got those rubbish adverts again, like Greg Secker, annoying the hell out of me. Hey, selling me some stupid pointless product that, what is it? Greg Secker, what even is Secker doing? Hey, I'm Secker. I'm Sexy Secker. Now I'm Sexy Secker in Scotland at my second house. Now I'm Sexy Secker in Australia, my new swimming pool. But what are you selling, Greg? Nothing. Just become my partner. So you commit loads of money for investments. But what investments? Go away, Greg. I'm actually doing something important. This is my precious time. This is not the, so... for the food, trying to come back to the food, for the food produce, I think that, unless you're in the middle of a massive city, which is, rock solid urban for miles, we should really be getting our food from as near to and close to the farms as possible and where the things are grown. And really so when this guy has got, he's talking about hundreds of thousands of acres, right, of land. America's huge, right? And what grows best in this soil or that soil, or one plant doesn't take to it. I was going to say that really then in that case, you want to make sure that you're sending the plants to the place that they do grow and certain plants to another place where they grow. But there are some things that we've got that just aren't really that decent, even though people like them. Why do they like them? We didn't actually have potatoes in England. They didn't even exist. Or pumpkins. People were carving up turnips. And I don't think we actually did too bad. When we were still carving turnips and we didn't have potatoes, we'd made a significant amount of progress, I don't think that the acceleration in progress of technology is chip dependent or potato dependent. I don't think it is. I think that if we'd have never brought potatoes over from America, I don't think that it would have hindered our technological advancement at all whatsoever. But, it's lucky we had potatoes in a way, because, a lot of, they do provide potassium, but only because we're not eating as many leaves. We should be getting it from leaves, And really, you don't even need to eat fruit hardly. There's nothing wrong with fruit, but you get plenty of vitamin C when you start eating leaves, as well. So, when you start thinking of things like, nuts and, different cheeses, I'm not the greatest fan of cheese, but when you've got things like, different cheeses and nuts and things like snails, just another thing that you can have. And, smaller animals, doesn't have to be freaking insect farm or whatever. It's the idea for the pick and mix of these, when you get the right things grown, you want to try and get them in a certain area. Although I don't think it matters quite as much in America, but in England it's critical because we've got far too much traffic on the road, and it shouldn't be citizens' travel that has to suffer the consequences, this pay per mile and all this. It should be this packaging lorries, pallet lorries, some products that are just completely and totally pointless, like wibbly wobbly, jelly octopus, which someone's going to buy it, throw it around for a while at home and have a laugh, and then it's going to be in the cupboard for a while. And that's the other thing. Ideas. Humans, the whole thing with humans is our imagination and power to have ideas. But anyone on this planet, human, who is creative and has good ideas, also knows that there's nothing worse than a good idea than a bad idea, and not just to do something for the sake of doing it because you thought of it. There's an actual pleasure in having ideas, like there's a pleasure in having your neck tickled, or a pleasure in kissing someone, and a pleasure in, sitting in a hot tub or whatever. There's a pleasure to having ideas. Sometimes the eureka moment is there's a connection to pleasure when you have the idea. Like when Mark Zuckerberg, comes in his pants because he just thought of the, Ray-Ban. Ray-Bans, it doesn't mean you have to make them, Mark, and, make everyone else wear them, and take over the world and have everyone in the metaverse. It's a good idea, it's all right, but it doesn't mean you have to do it, Mark. Yes, but I'm successful, Mark Zuckerberg. Well, did you think, Mark, that if everyone would have had ideas like that, and everyone would have done them, Mark, the world would be 15 million times more full of junk and crap. And it's starting to happen now. But that's the genius in my metaverse. You can have stupid crap, rubbish ideas all over the tap, paint the town purple. We're going to spam. Well, is that what it's really called, Mark? Spamverse? The Spamverse, yeah. Spammed with spam. The Spamverse, like a seething, scrolling chaos of spam, like the portal, the event horizon, the chaos spewing forth of crap ideas that you're now facilitating, and just with the power to do them. Look, I've built a skyscraper out of mugs. Look at this. Look, it's a Neil. Look, let's put the founding stone there. The Neil Oliver mug, and in the other corner, let's now the Russell Brand mug, and then in the other corner, the Jeff Buys Cars mug, and then here we go, the solid gold 24 karat Donald Trump mug. Yes, the founding corners. Yeah, paint the town red. That's it. Now build a tower. Build a tower to the moon. Build a tower to the moon with YouTube mugs. YouTube mugs of every channel. Redacted at the pinnacle, at the top. The YouTube mug. Yes! Let me show up a good mug. The mug tower. But you ain't seen nothing yet, because now you're going to get the T-shirt tower. T-shirt this is going to go put, Giorgio Armani out of business, or Hugo Boss, why have a Hugo Boss vest when you can have your own design of your own idea and creation, a collaboration, a collab, Boss and me and Boss. Look at this. Me and Boss. My idea on a Hugo Boss vest. Boss and me. Yes, the collaboration, That'll put Boss out of business, They're not really Boss's shirts anymore, are they? They're the people's shirts, they're all different, Boss isn't designing any shirts anymore. Everyone's designing their own shirts. Boss hasn't got any designers. Oh, they've got to design the shirt, but at least they're not designing the design. That's what you think. Until we start actually designing our own shirts, people would do this for free. Well, how about, if you do all the designing work, Hugo Boss won't have to pay his designers because you did it yourself. You designed your own shirt. So, you might as well have a free one. I'll tell you what, seeing though Hugo Boss doesn't have to pay his best designer to design his vests anymore, now, you can design your own. And, and for the privilege of designing your own shirt, you can have it for free. This is it. So, I don't know where they're going with it. There's some really bad taste, and it's accelerating, and I don't want to fall out with anyone over it. People used to, there's nothing worse than, when they say this, you turn up at a party and they're wearing the same dress. When women used to do that joke when they turn up at the party and they've got the same dress from the same shop or whatever, at least with that model, at least, this is my Hugo Boss. My shirt's better than your shirt. No. I like what you did there, Hugo. Well, I won't mind one of those, but you can't have one. It's unique. It's one of a kind, Well, where's it gone? They've stole it. So where's my shirt gone? Someone's nicked it. Why would you want to nick a shirt when you can have any shirt? No, I want your shirt. I want that shirt, So, I'd like to see Zuckerberg's model. Where's his model? Where is Mark's model? I'd like to see how Mark's model fits in with Bill's model, and how Bill's model fits in with Elon's model. But these are tech guys, they're the guys who can make the machines. But then again, if everyone, had their own bit of land and were growing their own bit of food, then they could just make their own little mix of food, and, maybe they wouldn't have to go to the farm. But I actually, trying to kind of make some sensibility out of it all, I don't think that we want to be growing the same exact crop or food just endlessly for miles and miles and miles and miles. We want to try and cut down on transport as much as possible, at least in England, maybe not in America because you've got a lot more space in America, but in England, I think that, there's one other thing to mention, which is in case there's some sort of event like a flood or a hurricane or a catastrophe or a pandemic or something, or the food gets wiped. Because then, I guess you can have these terrorists who want to poison all the food or whatever they want to do. People shouldn't want to do, you shouldn't need to surveillance people and watch them. Why would anyone want to do that? People, we shouldn't need laws. People should want to kind of comply with the law as much as possible. So, but we need, what I was going to say is, we need a certain amount of tinned or canned food, because the thing with tinned food or canned food is that, it can be, stored, buried, stockpiled or whatever, but not in the sense, like in these food banks, we don't need to be making a lot of kind of tinned, canned, processed food. There wants to be like a emergency kind of like, supply of it, but even perishable, even if it lasts for 10 years or 5 years, and then when the time comes, all those tins that were buried that we never used, they only chuck it now, and we need to replace them with some others. What could you do with them? I don't know. It wouldn't be completely wasted because maybe even if they've like gone mouldy or they've like gone off, maybe at least they make a good compost pile or something like that, and that'd mix back in with the earth. So this is kind of like, this is not the conversation that Robert F. Kennedy just had with Clark, Mr. Clark. Probably far from it, but trying to put what he said into some kind of like wider application. It's all this kind of like, getting seeds from India or whatever, and the price of it and competing and so forth. He's still kind of like got this sort of like big supply. I think he's still thinking of, we've got this soil working, this soil's really good now, we've improved it, but he's still saying like certain plants will just take and others won't. He's still sort of saying like, then you're going with, what plants work and what plants don't work on their own merits. But how do you know Bill's not, done a little backhander with the seed supply? How do you know Bill's not gone, oh, well, I just happen to know that I've done some precision breeding, and I just happen to be privy to my own information that those seeds won't be growing as much, so I won't be growing any of those there. No, but having those other ones because they was a little bit precision breeded to work more, but I won't tell him that, because certainly I'm privy to that information, So, there's that factor which, could be a bit paranoid, but, in the grand scheme of things, can we trust these people? We didn't trust them with the whole COVID thing, but that's why, it's still kind of like huge, vast areas of farmland growing the same thing for like, acres and acres and acres and acres and miles and miles and miles. It's what kind of transport, what kind of like, haulage are they doing with that? Where's it going? All over America? Is that because it won't grow anywhere else, or it can't grow anywhere else? It's a lot of transport. It's if they could, that's why I think England's different. It's all right to have something that is a little bit different, or something new, or something in your pick and mix. In your selection, to select from, as long as you've got a good mix and variety. But I can't see how most of these things can't be grown, within all different areas of America. Although that's the thing, obviously, bananas come, but when you're talking about bananas and oranges, but that's the thing, potatoes came from the Americas. We didn't have them here, right? We didn't even have them. So it is an exotic food, really, and it happened to grow here. Right, and then it's everywhere. Everyone's just got fields and fields of potatoes, and then you've got chip shops everywhere. But before then, we didn't have chip shops. We just didn't have them. There was no truckers. We didn't have any truckers, with Trudeau, banning the credit cards because they want their chips, stamping their feet up and down, firing their, Winchester rifles into the air going, we want our chips, or whatever they want, right? Because they didn't have them. They didn't exist, They wanted whatever they had, It was probably like, boar's head with an apple in its mouth or whatever they want. So, there are... Potatoes are a good example, But then you had that whole potato famine. It's supposedly down to potatoes and a disease that occurred. You could say like the pandemic, but not a pandemic of us, a pandemic of the plant, a plant pandemic. Really, it was a plant pandemic, really. And then that caused a lot of starvation and famine, and then a lot of Irish people had to move or go away. It caused migration. It actually caused migration. But the thing is, I can't believe that there wasn't anything else to eat. What were they eating before then? It's either they didn't have the knowledge or all the... I don't think all the different plants and stuff were dying. They got dependent. They got dependent on one staple food, right? The potato. They got dependent on it. Maybe we're dependent on it now to an extent if you look at all the places that do it, but surely we can't be dependent on the potato because there are so many other foods. So I don't really think people would notice that much if it just vanished tomorrow. But the thing with Ireland, it was very political because they were like, the aristocrats supposedly were still bossing them around and in charge, and they were like all the other foods like meats and animals and other stuff, they were like making them sell or produce and taking them off them and so forth. So there was, it was this rich-poor divide again, like Trump, Trump Biden or whatever, this whole kind of like, rich and poor thing. They weren't throwing baseball at, Trump weren't throwing baseball hats out then, were he? Can you imagine, some Mar-a-Lago, cigar, Hannibal, can you imagine Trump, right, in Ireland or Scotland, there's a potato famine, where's my caddy? Don't worry, still got my caddy to bring my golf clubs. Hey, look, have a Trump hat. He's throwing Trump hats out. You need to get me some deer and stags, give me some venison meat. He's giving out, guns, rifles, bows, swords, whatever. You go hunt me some venison. That's for me though, not for you. You're my caddy. You can carry my pig's head around with its apple in its mouth. You can carry Trump's pig's head around with its apple in its mouth, but you can't have an apple. Can't I even have the apple, Donald? No, that's my feast. Here's his frame baseball hats out around that island, Hey, can I just have a baseball hat? No, I just want some potatoes. We can't have any of those. We're not short of baseball hats, though. Fill your boots. Fill your boots. Fill your baseball hat. Fill your baseball hat with potatoes. Quite funny. So yeah, we need to get. I can't. I'm in disbelief with that Irish potato famine. I think at that point they'd already deprived everyone of an education, and all. They must have. It must have been the potatoes that made them stupid. I think that must have been when it started, because one minute, the guys sat in Anglesey, on the coast, cooking a eel and frog soup, with a couple of snails in, and obviously it must have been quite tasty to him at the time. Not short of meat, not exactly crunching insects, is he? And the next thing, they're starving because there's no potatoes. I don't get it. There's got to be some education gap. There's got to be some other thing in effect, some kind of like whatever it was, you know, from these, I don't know, this aristocratic venison meat, God knows what, Sheriff of Nottingham. So, you know, we need to get, you know, in England, not in America, in England, I can't see how you can't grow. People have got allotments. People have got allotments, and they're growing like enough mixture of stuff to make these things at least a small amount. So, I mean, even if they're not the best, even if they're not, you know, like the gigantic turnip, even if it's not like, you know, even if it's not James and the Giant Peach. I mean, we're not talking about winning rosettes, you know, we're not talking about having, you know, carving out a pumpkin carriage, you know, take me to the ball, you know, can you eat it? You know, people are growing radishes and stuff. It can't be the case where, you know, it's just not going to grow or whatever. You know, so, but obviously, you know, this guy is like, when he's wanting to precision yield large areas of land to specific crops, I can see how that is, you know, desirable, and, you know, that's the way you probably, the best way to go for somewhere like America. But you've still got this kind of like haulage, this kind of like, you know, all the things that are growing here need to be spread out to everyone through logistics. That's the word I've been trying to think of the whole time, logistics, right? You still got this massive logistics thing. The thing with that is it takes us back to this Bill Gates vision of these big, you know, Gates's dream. It goes back to Gates's dream, because in Gates's dream, then he's got all this big, massive, you know, vroom, you know, probably drones, you know. He wants, you know, if you've got these massive areas of land where you've got acres and acres and acres and acres and acres and acres, and it's all about precision soil management and yield and profit margins. It's all what you're doing is you're playing a number game. And I think it's just reminded me when I was watching the video now. When I was watching the video, like, I was like, this is all kind of like still kind of like numbers. He's like tweaking. He's want to get this like area of crop yield, and he's like tweaking it all to, it's almost like a graphic equalizer, you know, like he's trying to tweak all the little dials a little bit more, you know, to get this perfect crop, right? But then what are you going to do with it? Now, fair enough, if nowhere else in America is going to get, you know, this perfect crop or perfect yield, then fair enough if you're going to get the logistics. But the question is, what sacrifice or what difference, if you've got a farmer in Kentucky and he has got like he's growing loads of different things, right? On say if he's got 1,000 acres and he's growing, you know, a wide variety of crops, right? Are they gonna be that bad or that rubbish quality? You know, if he grows wider variety, just so that he doesn't have to logistics it everywhere to feed all the people in that area. Do you really have to have a precision empire of farm breeding for one thing in one state, you know, like Virginia tobacco or whatever, and then, you know, everyone in America gets it from there because, like, you know, that's the dog's bollocks or whatever. This is the thing, you know. How does anyone even have an allotment, you know, and how can it even work? You know, well, they have them and they've got them, and you know, that, you know, this is why I like Herefordshire, because it's got this kind of like they're just patchwork. It's like rolling hills. It's like just rolling hills of patchwork orchards. They're all privately owned, but even when you're driving through it, you're in there. You're in and amongst it. And even if you're going on walks down public right of way, down in woods or on nature walks like Forest of Dean or whatever it is, you're in and amongst it. I can't see that with Gates, because Gates wants gates on it. I think Gates is like, this is an authorized area. Why would you want to be in the authorized area that's crop spraying or whatever, chemical Z or whatever, when you could be climbing a mountain or whatever, or whitewater rafting, setting off a couple of the sheriff's new speed cameras, because the water happens to be flowing a bit quicker there. This is it. So England is very much the landscape and the size and population of England is going to be a very, very different model to what is best for America, really. So when it comes to India, and that's the thing. Another really important thing in that conversation, which I've just remembered that I need to mention now. You see, the conversation revolves around, India have got this seed and, they're selling it for cheaper and, it might be doing good, it might be doing well, but it's putting the prices down and that's affecting my profits. And it's all like finance, it's tweaking finance. Not at one point, they never said, well, what do the people in India need to be growing? What grows best in India for people in India? And if, like, I calculated that India, right, for the country for the country of India, like per square mile or per square kilometre, calculated the population and how many people they are, and they're actually more overpopulated than England in numbers. Like, there's 4 times as many people in India than England around, and really, England is less populated than India, even though India is huge. America isn't as populated, but yet they're the ones who are saying, we've got people spilling over the border or whatever, illegally though or whatever, but they have got room. Russia really is being very, very, very awkward at the moment and uncooperative in the whole thing. And they're actually meant to be intelligent people in Russia, they're meant to be human beings, intelligent humans, but they're just being a pain in the ass. Putin needs to get a life, grow up, get a job. He's just like, he's like Thomas Shelby, isn't he? What India needs to be doing, right? This is the thing. Why, India, and really, I've just clicked onto the whole model. This is what the globalists want to do. They want to make it all one world order, and everyone's under the same law and under the same rules and under the same companies, and they want everyone to digital ID and social points and so forth. But really, why do you need to be? If you want to cut down on all this, Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil are kicking off over all this, plane flights and travel, and at least they're claiming, there's all these environmental factors from, carbon and all this, which I'm not disputing with them. But really, if you can, if you're not having logistics between America and India, then, why have unnecessary logistics, Now, it's true that if Indians, right, if people in India want a certain product which they can't grow there and they want it, then, no one's saying that they shouldn't have it or they shouldn't import it or ship it there. But it really, are you doing that just because, because the whole conversation that was going like, it's going like, Indians are sending these, seeds over and we're getting them for cheaper and it's pushing prices down. But isn't the question like, you know, do we even really need to grow those things? You know, another thing, the whole point, right, in going on holiday or to another country, supposedly exotic or different, is because it's different, right? And this is the whole thing with this globalist model and all this immigration, and everyone's arguing about, you know, racism and all things like that, right? You know, it's great to go to other countries, right? But like, if you went, right, on holiday to the other side of the world and, you know, you arrived there and got off the plane and it was just like home, then what's the point in going there, right? It's like you wouldn't get on a plane and fly to the other side of the world to get off it to be back at home again. It's almost like Phileas Fogg, you know, 80 days around the world. It's almost like, can you imagine, right? You get on a plane, right, I'm off on holiday. You set off, it flies all the way around the world and then lands, and then you get off and you go, I'm on holiday now. Oh, I'm back home again. This is, you know, I'm going to McDonald's or this or that, or what's the point? But I don't know why, but Keir Starmer and Sunak and the World Economic Forum and Gates and a lot of people think that that's a good idea. In fact, it's their model for the future. You know, there's no place like home because everywhere is home, because everywhere is the same. You know, it's the whole point is that it is different, right? And there are different people there, you know. Like the commercial radios getting kids to, you know, go, okay, fair enough, they're working class kids and they might not, you know, have much money, so it's good to go on a holiday. But the way that they're selling it at the moment is like, you know, they can't wait to, you know, they don't like it in their own country, or they don't like their own country and they want to get away from it and not be here. Well, you know, in that case, why don't they just, you know, this is why why don't they set up, you know, more working overseas projects or even charity projects or training college, university projects overseas, right? And we could get a lot of children going to other countries. They don't have to win a prize on the radio. You know, you don't have to, like, you know, enter the competition, you know, win a holiday. Because what if, you know, schools and colleges and universities were sending more people overseas to do projects and things, you know, if they don't like it at home or they're bored of being stuck in the Welsh Valley or whatever. But Sunak and Starmer don't like that idea. There's something about it that they don't like. They don't want British people to go overseas when they're young and spend a lot of time overseas, like Alvida's aim pet, you know. They want them to, well, Starmer wants them to work in factories as long as they can before they're replaced by robots. Starmer wants all to vote for Labour and be working class, you know, people, you know, highly skilled working class, you know, let's get it right, highly skilled working class people, right? Work, you know, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and be poor, and then, you know, then they can, you know, win a holiday from commercial radio and go to, you know, Tenerife or Bora Bora or wherever, right? For some reason, he doesn't want people to go overseas, you know. Instead, he wants, but have you noticed, more and more foreign people are all coming here to live permanently or escape wars, right? But notice that they're not, you know, it's not like, you know, you everyone at 16, you know, okay, bye, you know, I'm off to do my, you know, why are they jump, you know, why aren't they going? You know, we shouldn't have any English 16-year-olds here. They should all be off enjoying themselves around the world, you know, learning, becoming highly skilled, you know, mountain climbing teachers or whatever, you know. This is it. But for some reason, you know, there's part of this globalist World Economic Forum strategy where they've got this lever pulled where it's sucking people into England, and even in America, this border crisis, they're sucking people over the border. They don't want to send people out. Australia want to take people in. Why aren't they? There shouldn't be any young people in England. They should all be, away abroad, enjoying themselves, and then they get to know foreign people and their cultures and get very familiar with them. And then, that's how you beat racism. But at the moment, what they're doing is like overcrowding it. They've got this like vacuum cleaner where Sunak is sucking them up. This is what's sucking them up into England, particularly by wars. And at Putin, they've got Putin like a sheepdog. Putin's like a sheepdog. Come by. Yay. Come on. Come by. Come by. Vladimir, come by. Like Vladimir Putin is like a sheepdog. Come by. He's getting them. Come on, get them all to come up, run over. Fire some missiles at them. Come by. Come on, Putin. And Zelensky's like a fucking sheepdog, like Biden's sheepdog, isn't he? Like Biden's like, come by, Zelensky, come by. Let's say, come on, get them all. They're probably doing it over the border. So Trump's probably doing, giving them offering them free cigars or whatever, Trump, champagne, they're like, sheepdog herders, these oligarchs, come by, like firing missiles at them. Getting the generals like sheepdog to fire missiles at them to get them to all run, get them all into the country, or whatever. That's my opinion on it. If young people, should compulsory have to go live or work in another country, probably before they've even been to university. And then when they come back, instead, people are feeling like we're being invaded. They're doing it here. They're coming here, but they're not just coming to get work experience, permanent. But we're running out of room now over here. That's the thing, But Putin's not, is he? And America isn't, but they're saying that they are. But it's just because they're not doing it lawfully. They're not lawfully entering America. So, Putin is really a stubborn man. And, apparently it's all over, like, this Ukraine base and land or whatever. They should be, Putin, should have ripe farming land, they're all making the wrong products. They're making crap. People are making crap. And people are eating crap and getting habitually, and they're building this around us, and then we get locked into these habits because these are like the strategically placed things where they want you to go there with advertising. Like I say, you don't need food advertising. We've got a compulsion to eat and seek out food. You don't need to advertise it. They're coercing us to eat more than that we should because of advertising. I wouldn't have food advertising, but I wouldn't ban any foods, but I would just start slowly phasing out certain foods, not make a big deal out of it. So the newspapers start, having a soap opera about it, and the next thing, whatever they can, because they're desperate for a story, like, fuck off, get a proper fucking life, but, what about my pot pies? Like, fuck off, stupid newspaper, stupid, and you got enough, with all the, dangerous crime, and well, that's why we've got dangerous crime, because they're hoovering everyone up, from everywhere into the country, and that's why we've got a crime problem. But anyway, probably too many things covered there. So essentially, America is just, it's too big for, it's all these vast vast acres of farmland and all this precision tweaking on it, to me, when America has got the most space in people versus land at the moment, and they don't need to be making that much food, but they're talking about tweaking output to try and maximise it by precision figures and numbers in all aspects, when they've got nowhere near as many people to feed for the area they've got. And then there's India, which is overpacked with people, and they're on about getting their seeds from India, which is insane because, India doesn't really want to be shipping anything out from anywhere. I mean, that India's a place of spices, Maybe they don't have enough plants, If they weren't growing tea, this is the thing, everyone's getting the tea from India, but you don't really, if maybe India should be growing, more spices and things. India's got more people, it needs more food for itself, And then we've got the whole overproduction problem. No one, if you had school, that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is talking about this project to get people working on farms, which is brilliant. I'm not too keen on this cannabis legalization idea, but if it's going to fund a lot of things and help, I'm not too certain about the effects of cannabis long term on people's character through brain hemisphere alterations and so forth. But there's a lot of people who smoke cannabis and then quit, give it up. Right, but then again, there was a lot of people who swear by it, and those people are like the American truckers. They want they want their medication or whatever, or they're going to kick off, or maybe they're not. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think that it's a good idea rushing into something like that to legalise it. But I do like the idea, at least, of using the money to fund, getting people to help out and work out on the farms, particularly from if they've been, doing criminal service or whatever, from having to pay for crimes and so forth. But that's the other thing, if we weren't making loads of rubbish foods that we don't really need and aren't that good for us, and if, we're growing a lot of better food, then, it's not even about profit. It's about the supply providing food for everyone, even if it was free. If you could get young people, to work and practice work and do something for the community, you could probably juggle it so everyone from every school does a little bit of growing work or help to help produce food for everyone, and then it's free. You don't even pay for there's a way. You talk about government subsidising farmers. You talk about governments subsidising farmers. How about tweaking that dial so government pays for farmers, government pays for farming, and then if you pour education into that and some work experience and service, then you're getting to the realm of, if government's subsidising all of the farming 100% completely, and children are getting educated or at least paying for crimes through helping out to produce it, then why the fuck should we have to pay for it? Shouldn't food be free? Or how about if you choose to go onto a healthy diet and make yourself fitter and healthier, why should you have to pay for food? Right? And then you can really say the American truckers, oh, I want my fucking hot dog. Well, you can fucking pay for it then, you dumb bastard. And then you can just call them stupid, Hey, look, we're having a massive tantrum because we went our donuts. Well, because you're a retard, At least Trudeau then could call them stupid, rather than Trudeau breaking people's, taking people's rights away and, freedoms. Because this is the thing with Trudeau. Trudeau likes control and power. It would be better if Trudeau could just, call them stupid. Say, oh, you're dumb. Well, I'll have a hot dog. Well, you have to pay for it then. this is it. You're rewarded if you go on healthier food, as long as it's not, this precision breeding. Why do we need this precision breeding? We got all these amazing plant life which can be mixed together into the most amazing, interesting, and enjoyable meals, right? I don't think you need any precision breeding for that. Because what you end up at with precision breeding, it's like they've already done this. And I don't know why Charles is so obsessed with it. He's a liar. He owns precision breeding plants. Charles, show up. You want to precision breed people to make the perfect person, right? Just like Bill doesn't really want to grow meat to feed people. He wants to grow an arm and a leg, And, by the time you've grown that, at least grow a head that, is not a warhead. Hey, look, I've got an armed warhead I've just grown. He's called Putin. This is it. I'll drop Putin a new head. Hopefully this time he can grow some hair on it. This is it. This is it. I don't know where Charles is going with it. If you want to precision breed a plant, what you do is the only logical conclusion that you end up with following that line of pursuit is like on Return to Oz in the film when you get the fucking munch pail fucking picnic thing that grows on a tree. Oh, look, money grows on a tree. You end up with like the Munchkin picnic basket. Oh, look, I just grew a Munchkin picnic basket on a tree. Precision breeding. Look at this. You don't even have to sort your beans out now. You don't have to shuffle them. You don't even have to shake your beans. You don't have to put on a conveyor belt and shake the soil off them. Bill won't even, if you have precision breeding, Bill won't even fucking need his big machines, to shake the soil off the potatoes, because they'll all be grown in a nice neat little basket straight off the branch of the tree. With the perfect fruit. It's like, it's called the perfect potato, or the perfect pear, the forbidden fruit. It's perfect. What's it called? Perfect. Now you're talking, after on holiday to Bora Bora. You see, this is the thing when they're all moaning about their crickets and their insects. Oh, you're trying to get us on insects, dried insects and crickets, Well, you stick with Charles and you'll be on the pear, the perfect pear. James and the perfect peach. This is it. It's got everything in it. I don't need to eat anything else. No, you just eat the perfect fruit. Just eat the same thing all the time. One fruit. It's like Lord of the Rings, isn't it? Like one pear to rule them all. That's where precision breeding. It will just. If you want to do precision breeding, right, for food, you're a bullshitter, because the only end game with it is you'll end up with like the perfect plant, right, and you will eat nothing else, even fucking got an eyeball in it or whatever you want Bill to stick in there, right? So it's pointless. It's no end game, because you only end up with the perfect fruit, the red perfect fruit, the yellow perfect fruit, or the green perfect fruit, and then you're eating the same thing. And this is what they don't want to do. They've never wanted to eat the same thing because they have always wanted to make a lot of crap to make money out of it. They wanted to make a load of different things, pick and mix sweets and whatever, to make money out of it, because the sake of it, stupid ideas. This is the thing. Charles knows this. Starmer knows it, Gates knows it, and they've got a dilemma. Because the dilemma, this is the, you'll have nothing and be happy or whatever. They know that through mathematics and logic, they can't do this plan of, all their different business ideas and things. Because what you end up with is the one thing, the one perfect fruit, or the one perfect thing, right? There's nothing wrong with all these different fruits we've got. We've had, 20 billion years or 20 million years or whatever. I know that's a big difference, billion and million, but we've had, since the dinosaurs and before, all this experiment of God and this massive variety of fruits. Yes, some of them are toxic and poisonous, like, deadly nightshade or whatever, but a lot of them we were gradually building up to resilience of, and we've lost that resilience. And actually, that is the evolutionary thing that actually makes you stronger. Resilience to these things, and when you don't have resilience to them, you lose immunities. And this is the whole, gain of function research thing. When we had a natural gain of function research thing going on, and that's one thing, philanthropy. Gates doesn't want to enter conversation about things like that as well, because they've actually put us on milk and sugars, and that's why sperm counts dropped, because what they've actually been doing is precision breeding us into morons, into fools, into dumb, stupid people. And that's the one thing Charles won't admit, that he's been doing a royal pedigree experiment on us and his ancestors, right, since the conquest, to make us into amoebas, right? Stupid people. And he won't admit it. He won't admit it. Because if he admits it, then he's a criminal. He's been making us into turnips. With the potato famine. No one's that stupid. No one who was mixing eel and, frog soup with snails, right, in 2000 BC, right, would have starved in a potato famine when the potatoes didn't even come from the country they was fucking living in, right? These people think that we're retards. And they're educated in the schools to be retarded. And this is where Starmer comes in. Oh, my dad was a toolmaker. No, now he's a highly skilled one. Notice that the Labour Party went from, we're the working class party, to, now we're the highly skilled working class party. We've never been, there are a few people who are skilled and end up working in labs and so forth, but majority-wise, Labour keeps you dumb. Labour keeps you stupid because they don't educate people, right? No one, how can an entire country starve because of a potato plant that didn't even come from there? It's impossible. Someone either educated them to be stupid, or they were really they had an authoritarian regime where they took all their things off them, right? They've been doing it the whole time, right? And now precision breeding, no, Charles, you want to use all the money you've stolen off us, all the profits you've made for your own research to precision breed people eventually. And, what is going to be the perfect fruit, the perfect person? Well, no one could be more perfect than Keir Starmer, could they? No one could be more perfect than Keir Starmer. He's the perfect person. The perfect person to be the Prime Minister. Highly skilled. His dad was a toolmaker. This is it. In precision breeder. Making the perfect fruit. The forbidden fruit. Keir Starmer and the perfect fruit. For perfect people. And then, float off to space in your perfect bubble. This is it. It's the thing with these oligarchs is they're going somewhere where they know that they're writing off their own wealth in a way, because they wanted to make all kinds of crap, and now they know that they're going to their precision program can only result in something that is non-profitable, unless, right, if the perfect fruit, right, was so perfect, it would just grow anywhere. You could grow it in your hair. You could put it in your hair and grow it. And pick it out of your, put it in your ear and grow it. In 2 days. I've got a turnip growing out of my ear, right? If it was so perfect, you could grow it in your shoe, like a fungus. If it was so perfect, it would grow anywhere. And therefore, it would have no value, because it would be so easy to grow and so cheap, like spores. People would be just growing it and eating it. So there can't be any money or profit in that, right? None. And Bill Gates cannot survive on produce that have no value. It has to be valuable. So he knows ultimately the value is either in the knowledge, the education, and the ability, or people willing to go along with him and do what he wants. Now, when he's in charge and he owns all the land and it's all his, then he can call the shots and tell people what to do, and they will say, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, you're the perfect person, Bill, right? With the perfect stuff, right? Now, if they were all, precision breeding program, let's click his fingers, and everyone is everyone's Neil Mohan. Hey, look, we're all clones of Neil Mohan. We're the perfect tribe. We're the perfect people. We're perfect. We're the perfect fruit, right? That'd be a YouTube program to watch them, wouldn't it? That'd be a YouTube channel. Hey, look, it's like the Neil Mohan clan. Everyone in the world. Can you imagine? Do you want to come to the cinema? With Neil and Neil and Neil? No, because I'm off to play tennis with Neil and Neil and Neil. That'd be a YouTube channel to watch. Neil Mohan channel. I can't decide what to do today. I play tennis with myself. Oh, shall I go to the O2 Arena and have myself cheer myself? I'll have my 20 million of me cheer me at the O2 Arena. I can't do that because I've got to be at the TV studio with Jeremy Vine, dancing around on a map of England with 20 million Jeremy Vines, chanting, to give us the results of the election. But he already does because they all voted for Jeremy. This is amazing. And here's Jeremy Vine, and here's going to give you the results from the election. And how do we see? Which way did all the Jeremys vote? Well, which way would you think they would vote? They'll vote for Jeremy. Yeah, I win. Here I am on TV. It's me, Jeremy Vine. This is it. So this is where they're going with their precision breeding program. They know it's dumb. It's stupid. It's not natural. What we've actually got now is already amazing. With nature and all the variety and things that we've got, and it's all it is so there's no rush to get anywhere or do anything, which Sunak and Gates and Johnson, progress, yes, want to get more satellites up and a few more cameras around. What it actually is, it's all about management, and at the moment it's mismanagement. Fawlty Towers, the world could be managed better. Countries could be managed better. People could and should be getting along with each other better. But they're not. Why? Because these people are incompetent. They're incompetent. And then you've got the news magazines who are just, stirring up the pot. Because they're just, you can't, you're like, fuck off, get a life. So, rather than perving other people's lives, someone just dropped a marble in Scarborough, whatever, like fuck off, So, this is it about management, and this is when we get back to what foods have we got in the supermarkets, and we should have, or we could have, a lot better foods and a lot healthier foods, and the ways of making them and getting them out there could be managed better. So I don't think Elon Musk and Zuckerberg are all about, we're going somewhere with this technology, which is tosh. Because Bill wants to grow an arm, he wants to grow a leg, he'd probably turn his dick into an arm if he could, that you could shake his hand, shake my hand, Bill wants to grow, limb, he wants to grow, body parts. That's Bill's problem, and he wants to own the planet. Elon's problem is that he wants to be, Bluetooth connected to everyone's brains. I don't know what he's going to do with that. I'll give you a guess. But to get there, he wants to make loads more mobile phones and cars, to get us there, then we can chuck them all in landfill and fill them all in. You know, or who wants to make us all into Optimuses? I don't know, you know, who's going to win, Charles's precision breeding program, or are we all going to become Optimus robots? That could be the clash of the titans, you know. Maybe that will be the future war. Optimuses versus, you know, Charles's perfect breeding program, you know, or whatever. So, you know, at the moment, these people are making a mess out of everything by you know, just continue persistently peddling their wares, you know, peddling their gimmicks, peddling their stuff, and then it's Star Wars, it's highly skilled. It's highly skilled. Well, yeah, Compact Disc was highly skilled, Kia, but it's in a charity shop now in a landfill. But that's a fact. And the new technology we've moved on from, we're not even using. It's completely different. It's like Mr. Leapfrog. But the urgency for it, well, you know, he's like a guy giving, like, you know, rosettes out at school. Oh, you made a new, you know, a Kia, you know, a new achievement. He was going to end up in the bin in you know, 10 seconds. Yes, and here we are, a gold star for your nice sugar pick and mix mice, you know. You know, Kit Starmer is like, you know, he's like pick and mix, you know, he's giving out, you know, gold sticker stars to people for making sugar spice. It's highly skilled, you know. Yeah, highly skilled crap, you know. It's not. It's highly unnecessary. It's highly wasteful, you know. You know, innovation and technology, you know. You know, it's not to write it all off, but you know, it's not all about innovation and technology. And actually, a lot of the new things, like, you know, these things are not due to innovation and technology. These things are due to common sense. Just like a modesty and a realization that you were doing something wrong, and you need to stop doing it. And you need to do something different that might actually be a lot more simpler, and not require as much technology and innovation. But because these people it can't all be tech, you know. So I don't know. This conversation is probably not that helpful to the farmer, because, you know, and I appreciate he's done a hell of a lot of work and progress on the farm in America, but, you know, I don't necessarily. America is like an enigma to me in a way. The vast size and scale of it, the vast you see, look, I mean, they were doing tobacco. Just look at the tobacco. I mean, all you have to do, look at what they were doing with the tobacco, and now we've, you know, they kind of, you know, they banned advertising it, and they really want to. They got people onto the electric ones. You know, that's innovation and technology for you. But in a way, there was a period of tobacco where it had a social dynamic effect on a population, because tobacco lowers your energy and makes people less argumentative, like, you know, with the peace pipes and so forth. And in the working men's clubs in Britain, there was an effect, not necessarily good for, you know, cancer effect is bad, but there was an effect on the character of the nation, the demeanour. I mean, Rishi Sunak's talking about, you know, his Bluetooth controlled coffee machine that he wants, coffee cup, you know, you can control the temperature of the coffee with Bluetooth. You know, if the coffee's too hot, you can set it to be cooler, or if you want it warmer, you can set it at exact temperature. And he thinks that's a cool gimmick, you know. A businessman in first class private plane would want everything to be perfect and precision, you know. You know, flight attendant socks need to be pulled up another 2 millimeter, or he needs to shine his shoes a little bit more. Rishi's coffee's a couple of degrees too cold, you know, like with all these Extinction Rebellion talking about, you know, the climate and degrees. You know, it actually, what tobacco did and what smoking did when we went over to America is that it did lower the emotional temperature measurably in men, particularly ones who in working men's clubs, particularly Labour and Conservative clubs. They were calmer and could talk about things more calmly. Which was quite significant, really. People don't appreciate or understand that, but it was a plant that people were not eating, but actually taking the plant, using the plant, and it had a psychological effect on an entire country, an entire nation, even if detrimental health effects. But it changed the conversations and the political and legal process of an entire country due to mainly due to mass cultivations in America. And then you get an entire economy from that. People made money out of it, and then they were, working out varieties and flavours and growing it. And now that's all going because it's bad for your health. It shaped the law of England from 1600 probably until the year 2000, from 1600 till 2000, 16, 17, 18, 19, 400 years. 400 years of change in personality, medicated personality. And that is why I'm a bit cautious about what's going to happen if, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. legalizes cannabis, although, people who are probably smoking it now are already getting it, it's not going to, but you kind of make it normal. But what effects is that going to have on, people's character, long term? I'm not saying that, I'm not writing off the idea because it's going to generate a lot of money for the economy. But, and people are probably, if they want to smoke it, they're already probably smoking it now, so, but that was a big agriculture thing in America, vast amounts of areas on cultivating tobacco, growing tobacco, which is quite exotic to eat. But, people, I grew some tobacco plants at home. They didn't grow very well, but I did grow some. But it's not a plant that people are familiar with and grow in England. But you got these vast plantations of it in America, and now they're scrapping it. This is the thing with potatoes. Yes, I'm not saying we should scrap potatoes, but it's just like a full chips. Full bag of chips, just like facing a potato trough. That's the thing, chips when you're in McDonald's, chips in Burger King, chips in fish and chip shop, chips in your Chinese chips, it's kind of like all or nothing. And I think that's one of the things that's contributed to all these diet defects. That's why I think when you get into something like this, with a good mixture and variety, you don't end up like that. Can you imagine, right? If we were doing this when they had that potato famine. I know that some plants were affected by it, but if this was the type of food they were eating, surely not all of the foods and all of the leaves and grains would have been affected by that. And that was because they'd got onto a food that was what you call a main staple, and they're only living off or eating that, and I think that's a problem, so you've got to take into consideration things like that as well when you're thinking about, just going full out all on one thing, and cornflakes, bread, flour, you're growing one thing, and you're making this thing flour, which isn't really food, it's a drug. Flour is a refined chemical or a pharmaceutical. It is a pharmaceutical product. It is a refined thing, not very natural. I like cheese. I think we should have cheese still. Again, I'm not saying we should ban all these things, but it's kind of like the obsession. It's almost like it seems to be with culture. It seems like it's kind of like we seem to have these mad kind of like full on binges. It's like you could say the last 400 years was a tobacco binge. Everyone's doing it, and then full on addiction, and then potatoes. It rather than just like a natural mixture of things. But not like, Monday, I'm not talking about Monday fish and chips, Tuesday pie and chips, Thursday Chinese. Some of these foods are scandalously dangerous, but then you've got the other group who, like the even Gypsy Travellers were doing jokes, like, this stone's, I found the stone, it's clean, but the Chinese meal wasn't, or whatever, that, like eating a Chinese meal off a stone, and the stone's cleaner than Chinese meal or whatever. So, or Indian, but they're all filled with sugars, really, really extremely over-sugared plum sauces and stuff. And if the American truckers want to eat it, fair enough. But, all this food bank stuff, people giving away food for free, but it's all tin stuff. All that tin stuff should be, buried under the ground, in case there's a nuclear war. Not that there should be a nuclear war, but, it's just all wrong. I'm starting to think now, all this subsidising, I actually think that for a start, no one should be starving. In fact, if you choose to eat healthy, you should be rewarded for it. It shouldn't be like what Marks and Spencers are doing is they're making the very, very, very healthy food extremely expensive, so it's only for very posh or rich people to have, right? But that's wrong, because this food isn't expensive. It's quite cheap. In fact, the farmer was saying that he doesn't even make that much profit on it. There aren't massive amounts of profit on it from what he was saying. Only, per acre, $500 or whatever, $5,000 or whatever, which I didn't think was much. So why are they charging so much for these Edamame beans? Well, the farmer's not making the money out of them, so it must be Donald. Donald's making all the money out of it. Why should Donald make all the money out of the farmer's Edamame beans in Marks and Spencers, right? Fill your Trump hat. How much does a Donald Trump red hat full of Edamame beans cost? And I bet you will be shocked at how much they're charging for that at Marks and Spencers. And all that food is going to Donald and his pals. It's not going to this farmer guy who was on, at Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That's for sure. When the farmer's done all the work, and all he needs to do, is have a nice variety of crops growing on these lands and get them shuffled up and get them in the freaking box. This is it. Check it up. This is it. And really, if you've helped him produce it, and the government kind of have been subsidising it, and you're law abiding, then why should you be paying? We've been ripped off for it top dollar. This is it. It's all wrong. The nasty foods, the foods that these, don't ban Canadian truckers' protests and don't ban their foods, right? And maybe not even tax them to death and make them too expensive, but they can pay for them because, they're not helping their health, it's a treat, really. And people who eat healthy should be rewarded. They shouldn't have to pay extra money for it, or put it this way, I don't think that Donald Trump should be benefiting financially from you making good health choices. You should be rewarded for eating good health choices by not having to pay, money for your food extra. No one should be making money out of your health choices. That's encouraging people to have food. Unfortunately, Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson, Bill, Mark with his freaking advertising, obsessive advertising. In fact, he wouldn't exist if it wasn't for advertising, selling crap, rubbish products, a lot of junk, things we don't want to hear, see. Never mind, never mind that I don't want to buy it. I won't mind, but it's, I don't want to buy it. I don't want to hear about it. YouTube's worse. It's but then it's like, yeah, cool. As long as they're on the, it's all about cool stuff. Cool tube. As long as they're popular and they're having a good time, they're not bothered. Filling swimming pools up with jelly babies or whatever they're doing to get 20 million views or whatever. So maybe this is not helpful towards precision farming, but it's the world's all wrong. The world is wrong. The models of the world are wrong. Okay, yeah, we need spices. We need spices from India and so forth. But I'm sure, that surely the geographical equator equivalent of India, they're growing spices in America on the equator that's equal, to the corresponding part of India, surely. Although there might be some little seasonal differences. But again, they're always growing these massive amounts of this one thing. And then they're having logistics, more and more logistics. Whereas, if they were just growing, people need to grow their own things, what they can grow in local areas, and supply them to local areas, and less logistics. And then, when you do go on holiday, or when you do go somewhere that has different food to you, it's a novelty and you enjoy it. That's the point. Not going down to the local Chinese or Indian for a curry. It no longer becomes different or a novelty. In fact, it's not even healthy. I mean, it's not even, having something a little bit exotic with a bit of spice on it. It's just, it's not, what those takeaways have become is just horrible. And I'm, it's even addictive to me, but I know if they weren't there, I couldn't have them. And to be honest, I'd be happier, because we need to acknowledge our addictions and our failures and our shortcomings as humans. And this is the problem that Joe's got, and that Trump's got, and that Bill's got as much as any of us. They can't control their own, business addictions, addiction to profit, maybe even addiction to technology or innovation. Maybe Elon's addicted to his own tech, his own knowledge, and he wants to know more and more and more and more and more and more and more. He wants to know more and more and more about but what does he do with that knowledge? The knowledge gets buried like a compact disc. He discards it. It's like he plays around with it for a while. He thinks it's cool. Yeah, this is kind of cool, this new knowledge. He's just toying with it in his head. He gets the idea, he plays with it, it grows up like a little child, or it's like his little baby, and then, he ends up in landfill. And stick a tombstone in it, R.I.P., rest in peace, CD. But Elon will live on forever, even though his little inventions are unless he wants to, go visit them in the temple, and get the relics out, get the old Nintendo, 8-bit, Atari, 8-bit Atari out or whatever, and have a little play on Frogger on it. Although, he's getting monkeys to play Frogger on him now. He's getting monkeys to play Frogger on 8-bits, Come, he's beckoning monkeys out of the jungle, Come, monkeys. I need to understand your brain, because mine's not like yours anymore. I became clever. I need to know what it was like to be a monkey. I can't remember anymore, but soon you won't be a monkey anymore, so, you will be like me. I will make you into the supreme being. I'm going to make all monkeys into supreme beings so they can understand Elon and sit at his dinner table and engage in conversation with Mark and Elon, Mark's expert psychologists will finally understand the brain of the monkey and understand the thoughts and ideas of the chimp. And he will be like them, and they will be like him, and they can play Frogger and maybe even beat Mark at judo. Maybe even we could get some chimpanzees to beat Mark at judo. Judo chop. Now, I was beaten by a monkey. Now you can play Frogger one day. Now you can kick my ass playing, judo. Judo chop. This is a champion Bruce Lee monkey. This is it. I don't know where they're going with it. They're expert psychologists, but, apparently the monkey's vision improved by 3 clicks to the east and 5 to the west, and now he's not typing as quickly on his keyboard because Mark put a virus on the keyboard to make sure that his fingers were off by precision failure of 2.56 because it's just Mark's little joke, Haha, you didn't notice that, did you? Because your fingers are too fat now for the keyboard. No, they're not, Mark. That's just a little Mark joke, a little Mark virus that he put on my phone to make me think that I was getting rubbish at typing. Ha ha ha. Funny, Mark. That's a clever one. Playing games, there are more complicated games to play than Frogger. With monkeys, you can play games with humans now. Now you've got the app. Now you can't get the app open or closed, and now you've got to watch my adverts. You get annoyed. It's precious time alive on this planet as humans. Now you must watch the Budweiser advert, even though I'm non-alcoholic, and I told the computer I don't want to see any more alcohol adverts, but it's still showing me them. Why is that? This is it. It's but that that's the whole thing, isn't it? So back to the plants. Yeah, we need to get these mixed up. Get these don't want to be expensive. They want to be cheap, because who's making it seems to me like the farmer is getting very low profits for the amount of land that he's got, but someone's making massive amounts of money out of it, but not the farmer. Seems to be like Donald, who's filling his hat with edamame beans and charging you £1 million, like $100 for a hat full. Well, if you calculate it, it probably is $100 for a hat full of edamame beans at Marks and Spencer's. If you fill a Donald Trump baseball hat full of edamame beans, that's got to be about £100 for sure, I think, at their prices. It can't be far off. There's something not right about that. Something definitely not right about that in the finances. So it's all wrong, If you want to get the country healthy, then you have to reward people who eat healthy by not charging them or even having them eat for free. They don't want people to be healthy. People don't believe that Charles has spent generations keeping us dumb and making us unhealthy, and people need to believe and accept that it is the truth. And his precision breeding is not for normal folks. Or, no, here I come to save the day, Prince Charles, no, King Charles, I'm going precision breeding. Don't worry, you'll all be perfect fruits soon, and you can grow anywhere. Perfect fruits can, actually not too perfect. You don't want to be, we can't have you being too perfect, can we? Because then, I won't be the King Charles anymore. I'll just be another perfect fruit like everyone else. This is it. Oh, at least we won't have any racism anymore. Well, that means I won't win the race. Let's, who's going to be the boss then? Well, we'll have to flip a coin for it. You can want Bill. Who's going to own the land this week? Is Bill going to own the entire planet and own nothing and be happy? Or can I be Bill for a while? Let's just flip the coin and see.